And I'll briefly speak about what is Operation Vulindlela, who we are, what we do, and why we do the things that we do and the expected outcomes. And later, my colleagues, in terms of the way in which we've arranged the program, will go into detail around the different aspects of Operation Vulindlela. So my talk, brief talks about what is Operation Vulindlela, what it does and why it does what it do, and what are the expected outcomes insofar as the things that we want to do. So Operation Vulindlela, what is it? It's a unit initiated by National Treasury and the Presidency. Because of its importance, it's even in the office, it's located in the office of the President himself. So we work together as National Treasury with the office of the President to support the implementation. We don't implement, but we support the implementation of structural reforms to facilitate economic growth. How do we do this? One, we monitor and report on progress to identify challenges and ensure accountability from all reform implementers department. We facilitate technical support to enable the implementation of these reforms by reform implementers. We also provide recommendations to the President and the Cabinet where decisions are required. And why do we do this? Why Operation Vulindlela? Many of you know that the economy has not been growing in the last 10 years. In 2019, while the economy grew by 0.2% against the target of 5% as entailed in the NDP. We all know that the economy declined by 7% in 2020. Well, we project that the economy will grow by 3.3% this year, but it will be coming from a very low base. And the poor economic performance has shown in different microeconomic indicators. Unemployment is very high. The tax revenue, it's also very high, leading to a wide budget deficit. And we know the consequence of unemployment, poverty. This leads to other social problems in society. And why the economy has not been growing? There are structural impediments arising out of how our economy is structured and how these constraints have constrained the potential of our economic growth. Well, some of my colleagues, they say, no, the problem with our economy is on the demand side, the ability of the people to spend, the availability of the market, the lack of effective demand. They argue that that is the problem we are facing. We don't deny that, but we are also pointing out that there are structural constraints on our economy on the supply side, because even if there's demand in the rest of the world, in the global economy, as long as we are not able to supply or meet that market demand because we are not able to deal with these structural constraints in our economy, the economy won't grow. So Operation Vulindlela seeks to facilitate the structural reforms to restructure our economy to grow by reducing, for instance, the cost of production, mainly focusing on the network industries. These network industries provide inputs for economic agents, including business. These network industries range from electricity supply, because it's important for us to provide reliable and cost-effective electricity. South Africa used to be supply of cheap electricity. In fact, industrialization in this country was at the back of cheap electricity. So part of our task as Operation Vulindlela is to facilitate the structural reforms that will enable us to produce more electricity, more energy, not only for business, but also for household, because electricity reliability is very, very important. You know, if you go to a firm which manufactures industrial goods, when there's power outage, that has a huge implications for that firm to meet its production requirements. In fact, this also led to the destruction of the machinery, because to restart that machine takes a lot of time, and when there's power outage, there are moments when that machine gets damaged in a serious way, and that affects our ability to produce and supply, not only in South Africa, but globally. And we're engaging the industry, and they are showing to us the lived experience of not having electricity, what it does in terms of production, and what it does in the global or in the macroeconomic aggregate in terms of the economic growth. So the supply of electricity, reliable supply of electricity, is one of the areas that we are looking at in this Operation Vulindlela. And I think my colleagues later on will indicate the things that...
Apologies there. Please bear with us as we move from one media briefing to another. We're taking you right back to the 65th session of the UN Commission on the Status of Women. We'll come back to the Operation Vulindlela technical media.